I'm Ed Martin, president of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Great to be back with you again. It's time to fact check another episode of Real Mrs. America. Excuse me, we're going to fact check Mrs. America, but we're going to do it by, if you'll visit realmrsamerica.com, we've got everything set up there. And please like and share this and subscribe right down below, please, and get this word out. Look, the pro-life, pro-family rally. It was a rally 1977, November 19th. It really was a very important historical event. You know, in many ways, it launched the pro-family movement that continues all the way down to today. And so it really is worthy of a hard look and understanding. And so I want to compare for you what Mrs. America did, how they depicted the rally, and what happened to the real thing, what we know in the facts, what we know from our archives. Because, you know, Hollywood, after $50 million plus and all these actresses, I think they showed about 3 seconds, and they showed somebody waving a Bible, and that was supposed to capture the whole rally. You know, it's what Hollywood didn't show you, that they didn't want you to see, because it was so extraordinary. Let's take a look at this first clip. Here we go. You know, the pro-family rally, it opened with a prayer. No surprise there. It opened with the Pledge of Allegiance, and they had the national anthem. You know, across town at the IWY, the organizers, they didn't allow any prayer. That was actually forbidden. No prayer. And they also didn't want the Pledge of Allegiance. They weren't going to do that. And all 50 states, as they had the state conventions, remember, working their way towards this big event, all 50 states, they didn't have the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, because it was a big backlash and they got a lot of bad press. I mean, after all, it was taxpayer money paying for this thing. They did do the Pledge of Allegiance there. So, you know, the IWY conference in Houston, the taxpayer-funded conference, they didn't even have a flag on the stage. And Mrs. America got it right when they showed that there was just a big word, the one word, woman, on the stage. That's all there was, no flag and nothing else. Let's take another look at another clip from Mrs. America.
We are here joining you because in the Right to Life movement, we represent people from every economic background, every religious denomination, and some with no religious affiliation at all political philosophies, and some with no political identification at all. We are joined together by our common belief that the sanctity of life must be the foundation of our democratic society.
This is Dr. Mildred Jefferson, the first black woman to graduate from the Harvard Medical School. And, you know, she had a degree. She didn't just do medicine. She went on and did surgery. Extraordinary. Now, Mrs. America's executive producer, you know, the main writer and sort of the driving force, her name is Dahvi Waller. She's very well known in liberal circles and in Hollywood. She said, quote, "It's obvious that I would include women of color leaders in the story," end quote. But Dr. Jefferson, she was excluded, and she was in Houston. She was at the convention, at the conference, and she was a founder of the National Right to Life Committee. She later served as its president. African-American, trailblazing woman, doctor, excluded by the writers in Mrs. America. But Dahvi Waller, the executive producer and main writer, she did take the time to add in this kind of drug-fueled rendition of This Land. You know, this land is your land, this land is my land, and I'll spare you the song anymore, but watch this.
Got a beautiful voice.
It's our favorite song at home. I learned it with all my kids when they were in school.
Woody Guthrie wrote it.
Oh, he's a poet.
He's a socialist.
Come on. Don't be ridiculous.
You were up there belting out a Marxist song.
Oh, no. It's patriotic.
Exactly.
Mrs. America in Hollywood, they did, you know, find the time to include some of the craziness of the IWY National Convention. They did include that because there really were militant lesbians, socialists, abortionists. There really was pornography there. Here's the pictures that we have in the Phyllis Schlafly archives in this heart of America in St. Louis, Missouri. These are the actual photographs of the IWY National Convention. Here they are. IWY, it wasn't balanced. There's no way it was balanced. It didn't represent the women of America. No, it was a feminist totalitarian nightmare. That's the phrase that Kate Blanchett, early in this Mrs. America series, of course, she's playing Phyllis Schlafly, she used that phrase, feminist totalitarian nightmare. That's what this looked like as you got to the end and saw at this convention in Mrs. America. We're in the 8th episode of 9. They're building towards this. This is what they get. And now that you've seen what the radicalism that's at the heart of the IWY conference, let's pause and take a look at what Phyllis Schlafly and the conservatives were doing at the ProFamily Rally. Here's a clip.
We reject the anti-family goals of the Equal Rights Amendment and the International Women's Year. Contrary to their radical resolutions, the American people and the American women do not want ERA. They do not want abortion. They do not want lesbian privileges. And they do not want universal child care in the hands of the government. When I look out at this crowd today, I know that you have the energy and the dedication to defeat this assault on the family. If you cared enough to come here today, I know that you can do it. You can turn back this tide all across the country. If you stay with us, the Equal Rights Amendment will die 16 months from Tuesday. In order to have held the line for the last 5 years against the tremendous odds of White House lobbying, federal government expenditure, prominent people, and big money, we had to have somebody on our side who was more powerful than the President of the United States. But we need your help, and we can have another party on March 22nd, 1979, if you will put your energy to the task between now and then.
This was extraordinary, and no one can deny the over 20,000 conservative women who gathered in this pro-family rally. And, Phyllis Schlafly used to call this the Battle of Midway for the pro-family movement. It was the key moment. The radical feminists revealed their hands. The sentiments you're seeing in this fact check across the country, normal Americans looked up and they said, those aren't the values we have. Why is taxpayer dollars paying for that? What is this about? One famous story that I was told directly by him is Dr. Dobson. Dr. James Dobson said he watched what was happening in Houston on TV. And he was a doctor, a practicing doctor of a long time. And he saw that and he said to his wife, let's do something to help the conservative position that what these women are doing. People were inspired by what they saw from the left at the IWY conference and what they saw from Phyllis. Now, let's watch Phyllis Schlafly, in her own words, explain exactly why the IWY conference and what it did to the women's liberation movement. This is powerful.
A couple of months later, a reporter asked the governor of Missouri, "Governor, are you for ERA?" And he replied, "Do you mean the old ERA or the new ERA? I was for equal pay for equal work. But after those women went down to Houston and got tangled up with the abortionists and the lesbians, I can tell you ERA will never pass in the show me state." Houston gave us the proof that ERA's real agenda is taxpayer-funded abortions and gay rights. And since that feminist convention, ERA has been voted on about 25 times in state legislatures, in Congress, and in several statewide referenda, and it has never had another victory.
Phyllis said it all. IWY, it wasn't a victory for the feminists, far from it. It was the death blow. It was a death blow of their radical cause. People know that. You can spin it any way you want out in Hollywood. Historians and people know that's what happened. The fact is that Phyllis Schlafly and the pro-family forces, they won this battle and they won the war over ERA. All these years later, that's what you can be sure of, and that's what people know. Please share this and like it and subscribe down below so we can continue to spread the word. We'll be back with more fact checking from episode 8 of this Mrs. America series soon. So look for that, please. And please visit realmrsamerica.com to find out more. Thanks for being here. We'll see you again soon.